A heads up for motorists, those on 495 northbound between exits 48 and 49 between now and Wednesday. Bridge work is being done, and a left lane closure could be in the works, so motorists should take precautions. Tonight on Open Mic with Bill Macek and Ralph Basilier from 6 until 8 on the Wave, 97.9 WHAV FM. Scheduled guests are Dugan Sherwood from the Haverhill Chamber of Commerce and Haverhill Promise, Haverhill's campaign for grade-level reading, and Paul Magliocchetti from the Haverhill School Committee. That's tonight on Open Mic from 6 until 8 on the Wave, 97.9 WHAV FM. In sports, the Red Sox have an exhibition game today against the Twins, and the Celtics are going to be hosting the Denver Nuggets. The Bruins have the night off. And over the weekend, in high school tournament action, the Methuen-Tewksbury girls hockey team won the State Division I championship with a 2-1 double overtime win over Austin Prep in a game that was played at the Garden yesterday in Boston. And on Saturday, in girls basketball Division II, the Pentucket Sachems won the state championship with a 43-26 win over Northampton in a game that was played at Holy Cross. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. And there's always more at WHAV.net, where you can sign up for the free newsletter and learn how to become a member. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Wynne Damon.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Giles Gibson. The Speaker of the UK's House of Commons says the British government can't bring its Brexit deal back for another vote unless it's significantly changed. Police say they've arrested a man following a fatal shooting in the Dutch city of Utrecht that left 3 people dead. And US officials are reportedly investigating the development of Boeing's 737 MAX jets after last week's Ethiopian Airlines crash.
Wave weather!
Here's your wave weather forecast for Haverhill in the Merrimack Valley. Tonight, partly cloudy, a 5-mile-per-hour breeze becomes calm, low 24. Mostly sunny for your Tuesday, calm earlier than 8-mile-per-hour northwest afternoon wind. Cool, high 42. Clear and a low of 24 at night. And skies pretty sunny for Wednesday, highs warm to around 50 degrees. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
97.9 FM, WHAV.
WHAV, Merrimack Valley, Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
On WHAV. How are you? Okay, just hitting last minute buttons. And we are on. And sitting beside me is Dugan Sherwood, who is from the Chamber of Commerce.
That's right. Night, Bill.
What's your official title?
I'm the president.
The president.
You got it.
Oh.
Yeah.
They shoot the president once in a while, don't they? Do you worry about that?
Not yet. Till right now.
Do you have security?
Yeah.
Secret security around.
If you know the chamber, it's Hillary and Melissa, so you got to watch out.
There you go.
I'm in good hands.
So we're going to have a great conversation. Let me just do a few things for setup. I want to remind everybody that the number is 978-374-1900, and you can call in anytime for a question, a comment about the chamber, about Dugan, anything he's going to be bringing up, all the good stuff they're doing. And you can also call in and speak to our producer, Chris, if you have a birthday that you'd like to add to our cowboy hat, because we have a free cake giveaway every month. It is the last Monday of every month we pick for the next month. So if you have a birthday or anniversary in the month of April, just call in a name, give that information to Chris. We'll put that information into our cowboy hat, and we'll draw it out. Now, the cake comes from Albie D's second-generation Italian bakery on South Main Street, right in Bradford Square. They have free parking right in front of their bakery, and it's real good stuff. So you should go over there. Whether you win the cake or not, you should go over and buy some goodies, right? Goodies are always good.
Goodies are good.
Goodies are always good. Okay, so with that for an intro, Dugan is here tonight because you've been around about 9 months in this position.
That's right. That's right.
So you seem to be doing okay.
I'm really enjoying the chamber.
So you've passed the probationary period, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm not probably a 3-year probation.
But you're starting to break some ground on what your history was, in a sense. What your last job for almost 10 years. You were in Cambridge.
I was in Cambridge working for a company called Cambridge Innovation Center, really in the heart of Kendall Square, where MIT is, full of the startup and venture capital world. And what really was wonderful about that place was sort of this really amazing community of people, and that's what really got me excited about coming to a place like Haverhill. It's a small city that has all sorts of interesting things going on, lots of complexities, lots of problems, and the work that I did in Kendall Square gave me the confidence to believe that, really becoming part of something that you believe in, and in this case, helping a small city grow and can be possible if you really work hard and build trust in the community. So I've been spending, the better part of the past 9 months really sort of putting my hand out there and introducing myself to people and listening and getting to know the chamber and understanding the role it's played. It's a 100-year-old organization, so there's a lot of history to sort of absorb.
Yep, and you said in the beginning it wasn't going to be easy. It wasn't going to be like, hey, come to Haverhill, and they were just going to follow you.
Right.
But I think that you're kind of setting up all the pieces. And more recently, I think, and I got to say that Council President Mitchison has been a visionary on this, and he's been kind of beating the drum for a while about we need to get this going, and the incubators and the innovation and all that stuff. And I give him full credit for being the leader.
He's been amazing,
and he still is. And like he just brought up about. And I'm really excited about municipal broadband. I think it's a great idea.
He and I saw him talking about this on Facebook, and he cited cities like Chattanooga, Tennessee. I don't know if you know much about Chattanooga, Tennessee, but it's really seen a resurgence as a city that people are attracted to and want to go move there. And a lot of businesses have come there, and it's just because one of the big things is they really invested in their broadband.
Yeah, great. So I'm all for it. I'm going to be right with him, and we're trying to set up a meeting on the Planning and Development Committee maybe for next week. And
I think it's great.
And just really try to not lag and not wait, but let's try to move that ball.
It represents some big thinking. It's attainable. It's completely possible, and it could really be the type of thing that changes how people perceive Haverhill, from the outside.
Yeah, and the gentleman that John brought in, he's from out of state, but he has a daughter that works in Lowell, so I guess he comes up here a lot. He's around next week for a couple of days. And
awesome.
I think his first name was Cliff. I don't remember his last name, but this is a company that is also helping communities, with their efforts, hire them to string the fiber so that they get involved and they're like a municipal partner in a sense.
Yep.
It's like a public-private partnership, and it will lower the the rates we're all unhappy with from Comcast.
Right. Competition is good.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe even Comcast will come down, but he said that it'll start a little higher, but as people get on, they can actually reduce those rates because all you're really looking to do is cover the overhead.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And a city the size of Haverhill should be able to take on these types of complex initiatives, projects, more easily than larger cities, and it'd be one more way, and we can sort of distinguish ourselves as a place that's serious about business, serious about its community. So I commend President Mitchison as well.
Absolutely. I heard a very interesting statistic yesterday on television and it was that three-quarters of the money for in innovation is in 3 states: California, New York, Massachusetts. And that said yes.
Yeah.
So they are around, and the money's coming here.
You know what's funny, Bill? We used to throw a statistic out at Cambridge Innovation Center. There's one building in Kendall Square. It's called 1 Broadway, where CSC is headquartered. There's more venture capital in that one building than in Connecticut.
Wow.
It's like the 9th. It would be, if it was a state, this one building in Kendall Square would
just
be
that
the
one
9th
building
in the country.
Yeah.
So
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
So that's encouraging, too. That we're looked upon as the place to be and to go and grow.
Well, to get back, not to flatter John Mitchison too much, but this is why other initiatives of his, like advanced manufacturing, trying to pair the resources that we have in Haverhill. We have space, we have land, we are more affordable, but we're also 35 miles from Boston, which really does rival Silicon Valley and New York in terms of innovation and talent and capital. There's so many innovative ideas that are being generated at places like MIT or Harvard or Northeastern, Boston College, et cetera. And in this day and age, it's not crazy to think that they could develop their manufacturing products right here in Haverhill.
Yeah, exactly.
We just need to sort of turn the volume up on Haverhill, do some things that I think we're probably behind in a little bit.
Right.
And none of that's going to be easy, but it's completely possible, and the opportunity's there. We're 35 miles away. Cities around the world would kill to be this close to Boston.
Exactly, and it is a decent commute. Sometimes of the day worse than others, but it's still
better than getting on an airplane and traveling 5 hours.
Exactly, right. So, well, you're on the Master Plan Review Committee too, right?
I feel very fortunate. Yep, we've had one meeting so far, but. As a new guy to town, I feel grateful that the mayor invited me to be part of this committee. I think that master plans are important. There's always the risk that it's not going to lead anywhere. The fun work is imagining and envisioning and dreaming and scheming. The hard part is to actually put it into place. I've been part of cities that have been effective, and I've been part of initiatives in other cities where it hasn't been effective. And so we'll see.
Well, it's an old one, so we definitely need to update our master plan. And I think that the people on the committee are going to probably come up with some great ideas.
You have a nice cross-section of folks.
Yeah. The mayor made a nice appointment for the committee.
I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah. And I also am happy to hear that I heard that he wants to fast-track it so that it's not going to take years to get it done.
Bill Pillsbury said in the first meeting, he said, this is not a life sentence by being on this committee. So.
Well said.
Yeah.
Hey, it's just about 6:18. We got to take a short break, and we'll be right back with Dugan Sherwood from the Chamber of Commerce right here on WHAV's Open Mic, 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
If you want to know what's going on at WHAV, sign up for the free monthly Wavelengths newsletter online at WHAV.net.
Like to laugh? Then you'll like listening to Eve Arden as Our Miss Brooks on CBS Radio, with Cupid taking pot shots at her from one side and Mr. Conklin, the school principal, badgering her on the other. Our lovelorn school marm has a tough time tracking down her favorite male, Mr. Boynton. Every episode of Our Miss Brooks, starring Eve Arden, offers immediate insurance against the blues.
Old Time Radio is heard 7 nights a week over 97.9 WHAV FM. Hear Our Miss Brooks Thursday nights at 10 with an encore performance at 1 a.m.
Community Spotlight.
Card Sharks, take note. Haverhill Thrift Store Ruth's House plans a 45s card game tournament March 29th. It doubles as the Lafayette Square Mainstay's latest fundraiser. Held at Brightview Senior Living in North Andover, 1275 Turnpike Street, the tourney places players in pairs with prizes awarded to the top 3 winners. Food and drink is provided, raffles and other fun planned starting at 6 p.m. A single seat is $25 with tables of 4 available for $100. To register, visit ruthsthriftshop.com/45s. Submit your own nonprofit events and announcements at least 3 weeks in advance. For best results, use the online form under the Contact tab at WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, I'm Eric Scott.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents The Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek, along with my guest for this hour, Dugan Sherwood, the president from the Haverhill Chamber of Commerce. And he's here to talk about all the good things that are going on, but he'd also like to hear from you. Our phone number is 978-374-1900, so you can dial it up anytime, and we'll take your call, whether it's a question, whether it's a comment, whether it's an idea you might have, because we're talking about innovation and ideas and moving Haverhill, well into the 21st century. We don't want to be in the 20th century. That was almost 20 years ago. Can you believe that?
Right.
It seems like it wasn't that long ago that it was like, oh, God, all the computers are going to crash when we go into the 20, you remember, 1999?
Y2K.
Yeah, Y2K.
You know what's cool, though, about Haverhill is, you know what someone said to me a couple weeks ago, which we were talking about sort of Haverhill and all the things that we think are going to be interesting for the future. And they said, you know what's really cool, though? Haverhill never left. And I'll never forget the way they said that. Like, Haverhill never left, meaning it's always been Haverhill. It's always had a deep root in the ground.
And the people in particular.
Yeah.
I really, I was born and brought up in Haverhill. I've never
There's
left.
an authenticity
I've traveled
here that
and done different things, different jobs. But, there's something about Haverhill that I just like. And
it's very
I remember
real.
there was at one time long ago, I think there was a sign that was close to something along a city as friendly as a small town. And I know some of my classmates from high school that, they came back after being someplace else. And there's a good, real people, I guess. That's it. We're not lofty we're just regular people, and we're just doing the best we can.
Doing the best, right? Exactly. But there's we're in HAV Studios here. There's a real appreciation and a tie and a lineage to history. And one of the things that I want to do as part of the Chamber of Commerce and just a part of this community is, yes, do more to attract new talent, new businesses, new people to live here. But I don't want to do it in a way that whitewashes what Haverhill really is all about. And so I think you can do that by celebrating the history with that, preserving its beautiful downtown. It's respecting the river. It's really sort of identifying all the outdoor resources that exist here, and just finding new ways of sort of explaining them to the outside world that might be attractive to people who who we otherwise would say, come be here, come welcome.
And you mentioned the river. I think we haven't really even scratched the surface on what we can turn that river into. I think we have a lot of opportunity. I know we have winters, but even if it's just during the spring, summer, fall seasons, we can have a lot of things going on. We used to have. I remember the Captain Red Slavitt with his boat. We used to do foliage tours in the fall, and he ran Merrimack River up and down. We took one last summer, which was a lot of fun. Remember, we went up.
I heard all about it. I missed it.
Oh, you weren't on that?
I showed up like 2 weeks later. That was my.
No kidding. Yeah. All right. Well, you missed it. Well, we'll have to try to get the foundation to do another one.
Yep. And there's within the foundation, of which I'm also part of the foundation. They have created this river access committee that's been operating for a long time, and they've done some really, really wonderful things. And we've recently reached out to the mayor to see if we can join forces with the Mayor's Harbor Commission, which again is sort of a similar mission.
Sure.
And see if we can sort of put our resources together, sort of the power of a city hall and sort of the responsibilities that the Harbor Commission has with potentially the resources of the River Access Committee. So hopefully we can come up with some new ideas to really gin up interest, both from attracting people downriver, but then perhaps more importantly, being really recognizing the river as a place for the existing residents of Haverhill.
Yeah. It's such a great river, and hopefully we'll get you on one. And we started in Newburyport, and we came up, and it just looks totally different when you're on a boat. It's much wider. It's grand. I mean, it really is. looking at the housing all along, it's just fantastic.
Can I put a plug into the atmosphere here for this idea that I have for Haverhill? I saw this in Europe. It's called the hot tug. And it's a hot tub that has an engine on the back, and you drive it up and down the river.
How many people can get in
It's a hot tub. It could 6 or 8 people.
I like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know, just chugging along in the river in 100 degrees of water.
Maybe you could do that as a sideline. Dugan's hot tubs.
I think I'm going to get the chamber to invest in it.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
So,
but they don't sink or flip over or anything?
No. They just a big. This is actually a real thing. It costs $25,000, and it's a hot tub.
And where'd you see this?
I saw it in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands.
No kidding.
If you Google hot tug, you will see it, and it's
now
hilarious.
Is it? It's not fiberglass. It's probably made out of.
No, I think it's fiberglass.
Oh, is it fiberglass?
Yeah, it's a tub that sits like, you're
so
at water
it's not
level.
like the old wooden slat.
No,
like barrel kind of hot tub.
No. But it's really funny, and in the Netherlands, the laws are not the same, so you don't need to have any training driving a boat, and it will come with a bunch of beer.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Anyway, I just look for silly things to do.
Well, they're not. They sound silly, but they're not really silly.
Yeah,
because they make sense, and they could be a little business venture.
And you just get people talking about it, and you say, and
Haverhill's
fun. It's kind of fun. It's neat,
and that would bring people to town.
Totally.
And so when they get done with their ride, they'll hang around and go to a restaurant, maybe go shopping. It just it's another draw card.
Well, if we get one, I'll let the first group of people to go in the hot tub be the city council.
Oh, good. Invite us. Right. But we get 9, so you might need you need the XL size.
Right.
Well, that's good. So what else? What else are you working on?
Yeah. So in addition to the committee that the mayor started around the master plan, I've been fortunate to be part of another number of other initiatives, including with Representative Andy Vargas and Dr. John Maddox and Superintendent Murata and a handful of other people who are in the community. There's an initiative called Haverhill Promise, which is a reading program, early reading program that's just getting going in Haverhill, and thanks to a significant contribution from the Maddox Foundation, we're just kicking off a search right now for an executive director for this program.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know that WHAV last fall or winter, when I was ringing the bell for the Salvation Army, the other thing we were doing is we were trying to collect books. I know WHAV has been instrumental in trying to get books for kids, because it's all about a 3rd grade reading level that you're looking to achieve.
Right.
Yeah.
All the studies show that if you aren't at level by that point, it has real disastrous ramifications around your education, and so. And that's a problem in Haverhill, to be completely clear. And so there's a lot of smart people in this room when we circle up and we talk about getting this program off the ground. And so it's a very serious thing. And I'm really pleased that they invited the chamber to be part of it, because I think it's going to take the resources of the entire community, and that includes the business community, to get behind this thing.
Everybody has to buy into that, because it's so important for it's the kids' future, but it's also the city's future. Because if they don't get that reading down by the 3rd grade, then the stats go crazy as to what could happen to them and almost what will happen to them if they don't have that foundational reading
Exactly.
ability.
And for me, every city on the planet has these sorts of initiatives that they try to do, and they're all well intended. The difference is the cities that actually get it done. And so we're doing the relatively easy part of creating the organism and getting sort of all the people who are really experts in the field of youth literacy together. But actually finding this person who's going to be our leader on this initiative is really important, and then providing them with the resources they need for the long haul, because this is a multi-year initiative.
I don't know anybody that's not in favor of it. I know the council is, the city council is, the school committee is.
The school committee voted unanimously
Andy Vargas, how can you be against that?
It's not that no one's against it, but to do the work, it's hard work.
Right.
And so there are a lot of people who are for it, and many cities that have tried to do these sorts of things are their success is just elusive.
Right. Dr. Maddox is a great guy.
Oh my
Once
gosh.
again,
I mean,
another local. I've been saying, I say it every once in a while on air, but I've been saying it for a long time. Best thing about Haverhill is its people, because of the people, we are who we are, and we accomplish what we can accomplish.
Yeah. And if John Maddox and Andy Vargas said to me, "We want you to stand on your head," I'd be standing on my head.
Yeah.
I really think highly of these folks, and this is a call to action for the entire city, and there's a lot of work to do. Haverhill is complicated, and so
it's multifaceted for sure.
It's multifaceted, multilingual,
in so many different things. And one of the biggest frustrations I know we have is that there are so many places we'd like to help out more. As a council, I know the mayor feels the same way.
Oh, sure.
And we have to figure out to give enough to keep it at least moving.
Yep.
But unfortunately, there isn't enough revenue right now to address all the needs to the top dollar that we should be applying.
And this is why I think an initiative like Haverhill Promise is special, because you have the public support of City Hall and the City Council.
Absolutely.
But you have private support as well, which will fund it, which will employ it, and will actually give it sort of levers that the city isn't designed to do because it's pulled in so many different directions.
Right.
So you put all these things together, and there's a shot that we could actually do something that moves the needle.
Excellent. Hey, we got to take another short break, Dugan. I'm speaking with Dugan Sherwood. He's the president of the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to be here till 7 o'clock. So if you have a question or a comment, call in at 978-374-1900. We'll be right back with more of the Open Mic on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 6:32.
Stay informed each day with local news coupled with FSN's worldwide coverage. 97.9 WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. There's always more at WHAV.net.
Catch the wave!
On air or online, 97.9 WHAV serves you. Twice an hour weekdays, keep up to date with exclusive local news and weather. Find out about civic events on Community Spotlight every quarter hour. And better prepare with wave weather every 30 minutes. Mass Moments, Melinda's Garden Moment, Soundbeat, and Insight Daily complete the spectrum. Hear classic comedy and drama 7 nights a week at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Finally, a unique blend of rock and roll hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s round out the entertainment. Stay with 97.9 WHAV, the only Haverhill-based news source.
Wave weather!
Here's your wave weather forecast for Haverhill in the Merrimack Valley. Tonight, partly cloudy, a 5-mile-per-hour breeze becomes calm, low 24. Mostly sunny for your Tuesday, calm earlier than 8-mile-per-hour northwest afternoon wind. Cool, high 42. Clear and a low of 24 at night. And skies pretty sunny for Wednesday, highs warm to around 50 degrees. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
WHAV Open Mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek, and also my guest is Dugan Sherwood. He is the president of the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce, and he's here talking about all the great things he's seeing here in Haverhill, doing here in Haverhill for the last 9 months. You're still a rookie.
I know, it's my rookie season.
You haven't even had your first anniversary.
My honeymoon's over, though, I think.
No way.
I know.
No, we're so happy that you came on board.
Thanks, man.
I really, I look forward to hopefully you sticking around for a while.
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying Haverhill.
Good.
It's a special place.
It's all good. Everybody talks good about you too. That's excellent.
Well, I'll take it. I'll take it for now.
You got a lot of people fooled.
Right. Yeah.
Only kidding.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah. It's 6:35 right now, and the phone number is 978-374-1900. You know, Dugan would like to hear about what you're thinking out there for our listeners, so don't hesitate to call in and discuss things, make a comment, or maybe everything's okay. Maybe that's why nobody's calling in, because everybody loves what you're doing. And
I'm sure that's it. No, well, I can sort of poke the bear a little bit. You know, we really are at the chamber. I've been outspoken. I never worked for a chamber before, and I sort of advertised when I was a candidate for it as somebody who really never knew what the value in this day and age of a chamber is, and to the credit of the board of directors that brought me on, they said let's really do something with that and see if we can rattle the cages and do something new. And so I've spent most of this first year really getting to know Haverhill, and to listen and absorb and learn. And I think that'll help inform us as we do sort of chart some new programming and new initiatives that are aimed to really increase the relevancy of the chamber. And why we want to be more relevant, because we want to serve our membership in more meaningful ways. I had a meeting this morning, really talking to a bunch of farmers in Haverhill,
Really?
and I got a sense for the first time of sort of what their perspective is around economic development and what Haverhill, what the city is doing or not doing to support them and their initiatives. And I asked for the meeting because I know how important to potential. The new sort of younger generation of workforce, I think that they're teaching us older people. I'm 44 now, Bill, so I'm an old guy.
You won't catch me.
They're teaching us that real food matters to them, and so how you, just as well as how you treat, the people who are in the most need in your community, where your food comes from, how you treat your land, all those things. These are really coming back to be core values that the younger generation is looking closely at.
They are, and that's great to hear. And what you're saying is something that I've said for quite a while, and that's that as hard as I try, the one thing I can't do is read minds. So if you don't talk to people, if you don't meet with people, if people don't call in and tell you what they're thinking, you're guessing.
Yeah.
So I'm glad the farmers are another segment, but your roster on the chamber is kind of like what the old phone book used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You got all the people, all the different cross sections of work. Mm-hmm. You've got them all from blue collar to white collar.
Yep, we do,
and everything, and plaid shirts too.
Right. Yeah. No, we sure do, and that's what's everybody sort of at my fingertips in terms of when I need some perspective. But I'm not a farmer, and I don't know what farmers in 2019 in Haverhill are going through, or what their needs are, or what their opportunities are, if they have workforce problems, or if they have just whatever the case might be. I reached out originally with the idea of creating some sort of a hybrid program that supported veterans through our local farms. And after today, I got the sense that A, they all think that's a really wonderful idea, but B, they're not really resourced right now to do something directly about that. And so we started talking about all sorts of other things around, the needs of the local farming community. And so that's how I'm learning. And that's not something that I could have learned in Cambridge or anywhere else. I just have to spend time in Haverhill getting to know what's going on.
Does Cambridge have any farms?
I think they have farm stands.
That's about it.
If they haven't been bought by Google yet,
right. But that's the beauty of Haverhill, is that we have areas that you feel like you're almost in northern Maine or Vermont.
Yeah.
You're out in the rural areas. You got farms, you got lakes. You have. I mean, we have so many. We have a castle. So we have so many.
Ski resort here,
Bill. We got a ski tow too. Yeah, it's
it's.
My
kids have learned to ski at Bradford. I mean, you really.
That's where I learned.
There's a way to package this in terms of sort of, not to trivialize it, but to sort of, there's a story here that's very, very strong, and I just don't think it's been told to the world in ways that people really appreciate it yet. And And so I've been thinking about that ever since I got here. Is sort of what's the story in Haverhill, because there isn't any one story, but I think if somebody who's a really strong orator or poet or something like that would probably find some interesting way to articulate the message that this is a place that really does have it all.
Well, I mean, I lived through Haverhill when I think it hit bottom, but we've been on the upswing now. We're coming back, and we're coming back differently and big. But we aren't the shoe town we were at one time. That's where I think it all began. For the shoe all the buildings down the Wingate, Washington Street, they were vacant for 30 years.
Yep.
Give or take.
Yep.
And, in all honesty, it was Mayor Ferrantini's vision when he came on board to do some changing and some zoning and to I'm happy that I was a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as a city councilor, I'm sure your fingerprints are all
I
over
got
this
on the
too.
city council when he became mayor. He jumped off the city council after 8 years, and in the 03 election, we got sworn in 04, and that's when I got on the city council. And
for the second time, is that right?
For the second time, yes. Yeah.
I've seen the pictures at City Hall, and there's a lot that
you can find me in most of those pictures. Yeah, I started when I was a kid, but I love Haverhill, and I like helping people and helping my community. So that's why I keep putting my hat out.
There's another initiative that sort of relates to this. All the things that the mayor and the city have done to reactivate downtown Haverhill and these new buildings now that are housing so many families. That's really important stuff. But it also, when there's a building sort of still in disrepair or hasn't been kept up, it sticks out now because not only has the mayor done things, but developers like Dave Tregorth have come in and really done some great projects. And so one of the other things that I've studied other cities are these sort of vacant storefront beautification initiatives. That's just a mouthful that I kind of came up with right there. But the idea is that it doesn't take a lot of money and just a little bit of creativity and some resources to sort of stage these spaces that people from the outside come down to. To be clear, I really think that downtown Haverhill is the welcome mat that people see how they judge
That's
Haverhill.
what people think of. It is.
You come right down off of through River Street into Washington, and if you have a storefront that's all beaten up, people will remember that just as much as they might remember Battleground Coffee, which is gorgeous and renovated.
Well, going back again, because I've been around here for a while, and I remember what it was called. We talked a little bit about it off mic, but they were called facade grants. And so it's a lot easier than the 4 words you put together. Just call it facade grants.
You got it.
And but even if it isn't a full grant, even if it's a 50-50, maybe, and I'm not telling you your business, but maybe you could get a local awning company if it's in a certain district that, they get a break off what it would normally cost, that kind of stuff to help people, incentivize them to move forward with, because it is what people remember. It's also are people going to go into a store that looks a little shabby compared to one that looks shiny.
Right. And there's all sorts of sort of fun, and some of them are sort of flash in the pan, but some of them are more substantial, these sort of pop-up or sort of short-term use projects for these retail spaces. And I think that they're at the very least, they're really fun to get to know. But then on a more serious level, there's cities like Arlington has sort of developed a carrot and stick measure where they reward retailers and storefronts that are vacant, and they've kept them up, but they also penalize with some sort of a tax businesses that are building owners that don't preserve them.
I have a thing on the agenda tomorrow night to ask that I think it was, I should remember. It's Watertown. Anyway, they've created a local ordinance that says for new construction, commercial, you have to also include solar panels.
Yeah,
I think that's a great idea. Moving forward with the green energy, thought and keeping it in play. And so there are some exceptions, but you got to think ahead.
This is where good policy can be really, really good business. And if you, I'll take for example the city council's decision to ban plastic bags, which I know was controversial. But I personally as the chamber guy, I supported it, but I supported it. I'll sort of check my personal moral opinion to the side, and I'll just say from an economic point of view, I thought it made a lot of sense. And why is that? Because you're sending a signal to the future workforce that this is a city that identifies, whose decisions identify with the values of that younger workforce.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so people do. I mean, you hear about these sort of. Every time I have a paper straw, it disintegrates, and I just have to feel like I got to go brush my teeth. However, it's consistent with the values of the workforce that's coming up, and we have to take that seriously.
Yeah, I agree, and it's not like Haverhill was the first one to get to say we're banning single-use plastic bags, because we were like 80 or 81. There's only 151 cities and towns, so we're over halfway there as a state.
Well, I keep going back to say we live in America in 2019. We have so many things to be grateful for. As Americans, we can recover from a plastic bag ban.
I think we can handle it. So far, I've been doing okay.
I've sat in front of Market Basket a couple of times, and we've handed out reusable bags.
Yes, I know that. That's really great that you did that. Yeah,
people were cool. I mean,
even Mayor Ferrantini had some at City Hall for a while.
Absolutely.
I'm sure they're all gone. But
Yep. People adapt.
Yeah,
we're all very, very resourceful when we have to.
And it's not like there isn't an alternative. There are the reusable shopping bags. And
that's sort of what it's intended for, right? It's just less waste, and so
exactly.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, me too. Hey, we're going to take one more break, Dugan, and we'll be right back and take it till 7 o'clock. It is 6:46 right now. This is the Open Mic Show every Monday night, 6 to 8, right here and only on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
Try listening to WHAV in your car or anywhere on your mobile phone. For fast access, visit WHAV.net.
That we deliberate and achieve with wisdom and understanding, recognizing the rights of all of our citizens with full regard for the dignity and justice of the individual.
Each week, WHAV News brings you live gavel-to-gavel coverage of the Haverhill City Council. Listen to 97.9 WHAV FM each Tuesday night at 7 when the City Council is in session from the Theodore A. Pelosi Jr. City Council Chambers in City Hall. Presented as a public service from 97.9 WHAV FM.
Catch the wave. WHAV. Open Mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
We're back on the Open Mic Show, and tonight my first hour guest is Dugan Sherwood. He is the president of the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce, and we're talking about stuff going on in our city and stuff we're planning to do, and some real visioning for the future.
Yeah.
And you've been doing that for most of your career, I guess.
Yeah,
involved with people doing it and helping them thrive.
It's if working in a place like Kendall Square next to MIT taught me anything, and the reason I ended up there was because I just was somebody in my 20s who absolutely had no clue what he wanted to be when he grew up, and so I made the choice if I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, I'm going to surround myself by interesting, smart people, So if you're from Massachusetts, that ends up in
That's
Boston.
Probably
or Cambridge.
where you're going to be, yeah.
And so I've had an opportunity to really be exposed to some incredible minds, and I think that and what they have inspired me to do is just think big, sort of develop a moonshot, and sort of go for it. Deshta Spande, for many people are familiar with the Merrimack Valley. He's a huge part of the Lowell resurgence and does a tremendous amount for UMass Lowell, and he's also a billionaire, and he's somebody who Indian descent has already sort of said, if you're going to, don't try to feed a few people, try to feed a country. And I think that over time, as I get my feet under me in Haverhill, hopefully I can start to be part of the creation of some really, really big ideas that can really move the needle for us.
Well, I think you're the right guy that we brought to town. Whoever found you or how you found us, that's a great match, I think.
Well, he's coming in 11 minutes.
Oh, Paul Magliochetti's coming in. Was
yeah.
he part of the team that was looking for somebody to fill the new president's?
And not only was he part of the team,
yeah.
but Paul is the chairman of the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
I can remember it was a Sunday evening. I was sitting in my little house, my home office, and he called around 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night and introduced me. And I remember thinking, I have no idea what this guy's last name is, and Magliocchetti, and now it rolls off the tongue. But
it does, yeah.
So Paul was the first person to reach out to me and say, "Hey, come talk to us a little bit," and so the rest has been history so far.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to Paul. He brought me to Haverhill.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and he's a great guy, and Paul is my guest for the second hour. So
yeah.
I don't know. Should we let you guys cross paths? Or
That'd be fun.
Do a handoff or something?
Yeah.
Well, we'll maybe when our receptionist finds if Paul's in the building, just bring him right into the studio.
Yeah. Well, what's cool is Paul is somebody obviously who's from Haverhill and is very much a part of the community. He's a member of the school committee, and I have there's obviously synergy at within the Chamber of Commerce to connect with all parts of the city, from Chief Denaro and the mayor to Superintendent Murata and Paul and other members of the school committee. So having Paul be sort of a mentor as I've gotten to know Haverhill a little bit, his role in programming at the school level has been really important. There's no way in hell the Chamber of Commerce is going to be a relevant organization unless it's tied to the success of Superintendent Murata and Paul and the rest of the folks at the school committee and at the city level. So
yeah, and she brings fresh ideas to the school department. So,
yeah, she and I started on the same day, and July 2nd was our first day here.
Yeah,
and so I really admire what she's been doing.
And we have
how hard her job must be.
Our underbelly in a sense, but I think we're working to take care of that too. So I think all in all,
you're bringing in
Haverhill's
brought in some really strong leadership.
Yeah.
And I have a significant board of directors at the chamber, and most, if not all of them, are locals who've been here for a long time, and they're just incredible people. So there's a deep bench here, but you've also traded for some folks here that I think could really be really impactful.
I agree, and I think what you guys are doing now. You moved too. Talk a little bit about why you moved and where you moved to.
I live in West Newbury.
No, not you personally.
Oh, that's funny.
I know you live in West Newbury.
Right. I wasn't even thinking that.
So in a sense, you're a local. I mean
So the chamber had been located in the Landmark building. It's 76, right above A1 Deli, for many years.
Right.
And with all due respect, 200 feet down was this brand new building at Harbor Place.
Right.
And so anchored by Pentucket Bank, HC Media, and then of course UMass Lowell. And UMass Lowell created this co-working space called iHub. And so we moved over there because the place is it's a beautiful building. It's such a neat space. And it's a nice upgrade for the chamber in terms of just the simple office layout and stuff like that. But what it is it's the future of Haverhill. I really
gets you a
believe
step closer to what you've done.
But more importantly, this building, just like Sal Lepoli's building that's being the Heights that's coming up this year, these initiatives are critically important. And so I just wanted to add whatever muscle I could to help to activate these parcels because the Greater Haverhill Foundation and Ron Trombley and Sally O'Rourke and others really moved mountains to make these buildings become a reality. And so it didn't make sense for us to be 200 feet down the road looking at them. We wanted to be right inside them.
Now, on the first floor, I hear the professional gym is already open.
Yep, the compound. Yep.
Right. And I heard there's a rumor that there's maybe some type of food or restaurant coming in.
Yep.
In the other vacant space.
Yep. So, well, first of all, there's a great new fitness facility called the Compound. And you'll see a lot of strong people in there, but they're the coolest people on the planet. They also work out of the
Kind of like the people that can't go to Planet Fitness that they throw out.
Yeah, no, there are people there that that could pick up your car.
Yeah.
However, it's a type of place that I guess over the radio I would say that everyone's welcome there. And they're just really down to earth, really great people. The service is amazing, and so I'm really excited about them.
And they must really know how to train.
They sure do. They're true experts.
Yeah.
So I'm on a 20-pound loss plan here, and I'm just starting out, so we'll see.
All right.
But the other thing that you mentioned is a restaurant, and I'll stop short of sort of saying
I'm not asking for any secrets. But.
Yeah. There's a strong contender for a restaurant at Harbor Place. But there's still a lot of work to be done. These things are it just speaks to how difficult getting how much in the past 5 years has been done at this corner of Merrimack Street. And so it's hard and there's risk, and so these things just take time. But I give all the credit in the world to my partners.
I probably know all the people on the foundation, but I can't list off the roster from the top of my head. But I know the people there are the people that really matter in town, know people in town.
Yep. Ron Trombley, Sally O'Rourke have been driving the train.
Right.
Tom Mortimer.
Absolutely.
Without a question. Scott Cody. It's all these people who just are not only successful in their own right, but this is altruism, true
people
and true.
That really care. That's what
they
the foundation
really believe
was
in Haverhill.
Originally set up to do, was to help the city.
If they had not created Harbor Place, I probably would not have been as interested in coming to Haverhill. And just because to me it represented that somebody's taking a chance and doing something risky.
Yeah. So what do you got coming up? Got any events coming up with the chamber? Or?
Yep, we do. The biggest thing that I'll talk about is in early May we have the Winning Opportunities for Women conference.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't actually been to one yet. This will be the first one that I've seen since joining the chamber. I've heard it's just an incredible event, a very special program.
It is.
It's obviously mostly women who attend, but men are welcome to join as well, encouraged to join. And so I've only heard just the best things about it. It sounds like it's really sort of the seminal event for the chamber.
And you talk about joining before our time runs out. If somebody has been listening and they're not a member of the chamber, they can just reach out. It's affordable, and
it's affordable. We do
get involved.
It's right.
And the other thing I could say is that I know that the chamber members look at the roster when they're looking for a certain thing or place. They usually help one another.
Exactly. I mean, in the simplest form, the chamber is a membership directory where people can sort of trust that these are serious local business professionals. So we do a lot of the real simple block and tackling that is traditional with the Chamber of Commerce. But the other thing I would say is that the chamber is really getting involved in things like master planning and being a support group to the mayor and the school and the police, and so there's service involved as well. And so there's also, I think, part of this is just general support to the city through the chamber. And so we're trying to balance between being a place that serves our members, but also asking our members to help serve our mission as well.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, and it's just a few $100s a year. It's $365 a year for a business. That's $30 and change a month.
It's $1 a day.
It's $1 a day. That's exactly right. That's probably why we did it that way.
Yeah. You didn't figure that out.
Yeah, and there's just lots of cool events. We're good people. We're growing, and we really hope that people will get involved, because it's a place that's really only as strong as its membership and the participation that we get from the community.
I'm sure it's going to keep growing. I'm sure that,
Thanks,
especially with your leadership. We got just about a minute left. We didn't get any calls, so I'm hoping people call you tomorrow at work, because I really fear that people don't want to put their voice on the air because they're worried that somebody will recognize their voice.
Let me leave with just a quick plug for Back to Haverhill Promise, which is the early literacy reading program for kids.
Yep.
If anyone is interested in learning more about that or getting involved somehow, whether it's donating books or making a donation or just finding out how they might be able to volunteer or expressing interest. It's the email address is team@haverhillpromise.com.
team@haverhillpromise.com. All right. That's great. Hey, thank you for coming in tonight. Thank you
Thank
for
you, sir.
Your time
Always fun.
and all that you do. And next time, maybe you can be running your little hot tub.
We'll do. Hey,
what is it? What is it
the
called?
hot tug.
Hot tug.
We'll do this from the river.
Yeah. How about races? Do they ever do races?
We got to get 2 hot tugs then.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll grow. I'm sure your little sideline is going to grow.
I think it's going to be good.
All right. Great. I've been speaking with Dugan Sherwood. He is the president of the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce. And coming in next hour, right after the top of the hour information, we're going to be speaking with school committeeman and attorney Paul Magliocchetti, and he is also the chairman of the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce. So the conversation will continue, in a sense, right here on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
It's 7 o'clock.
WHAV LP Haverhill.
Here's what's happening locally. I'm Wynn Damon. A nurse from Haverhill was charged last week in federal court with 1 count of drug tampering and faces up to 10 years in prison, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. 47-year-old Lauren Perrin is accused of tampering with the pain relief medication morphine while working as nurse at Amesbury's Maplewood Care and Rehabilitation Center. Court records show Perrin tampered with 3 morphine bottles prescribed to a hospice patient by replacing extracted medication with another liquid. In the process, she lowered the potency of the medication to between 4 to 29% of the intended potency. It's not clear when the incident took place. If convicted, Perrin faces up to 10 years in prison, 3 years of supervised release, and a fine that could be as high as $250,000. A 30-year-old man shot during an early morning party Friday at a Methuen hookah shop has died, and a 24-year-old stands accused of murder. Kelvin Frias of Lawrence died Saturday morning after being treated at a Boston hospital for a gunshot wound to the head, according to Carrie Kimball, spokeswoman for Essex County District Attorney Jonathan Blodgett. Meanwhile, Remy Salazar, also of Lawrence, was arrested Friday afternoon in Nashua on an unrelated warrant after being tracked to a home there by the Massachusetts State Police Violent Fugitive Apprehension Section. The Essex State Police Detective Unit and Methuen Police obtained an arrest warrant Saturday afternoon charging Salazar with murder. It won't be known when Salazar will return to Massachusetts to face the murder charge until after his Nashua arraignment. Methuen Police Chief Joseph Solomon said Friday a preliminary investigation into the shooting suggests that gunfire took place at a gathering at the Mr. Hookah Vape Shop at 170 Broadway in Methuen. Solomon said the shooting was not a random act and believed to be specifically related to a prior incident at that location. And Haverhill and the Merrimack Valley were well represented late last month at the School Safety Advocacy Council's National Conference on Bullying, with school committeeman Scott Wood joining Methuen Police Lieutenant Joseph Aiello to offer a presentation on the role of social media cyberbullying. Wood tells WHAV he joined Aiello and Police Chief Joseph Solomon at the Jacksonville, Florida event to understand how other states across the country protect students from tech-based bullies.
Technology is always the biggest scare now relative to bullying. The apps that are coming out are just going to be harder and harder for schools or law enforcement to track down who potentially is, behind threats, bullying, etc.
Some of the newer apps circulate material that can't be screenshot or stored on a server, according to Wood. Indeed, Wood speaks from experience. The Haverhill native has spent the last 6 years as a patrolman in another community. On the heels of Haverhill's decision to post a resource officer at Nettle Middle School, Wood hopes the action will shift a preconceived notion that all officers do is make arrests at schools.
Some people are resistant to it. They want less police in buildings, not more. But that's kind of an old school view of law enforcement. If you look at the statistics, you'll see that really not the case. But overall, I think you see resource officers trying to keep kids out of trouble more than anything.
The decision to add to Nettles' staff was made given the fact that Haverhill police respond to that school more than any other school in the city, according to Wood. Action items from the conference. Wood plans to implement in Haverhill include a push for professional development on the latest cyberbullying apps, as well as a possible presentation from The Wire actor-turned-anti-bullying advocate Trey Chansey. And families with children turning 5 on or before August 31st are eligible to register for the 2019-2020 Haverhill Kindergarten Program. Appointments may be scheduled by calling the Parent Resource Center at 978-420-1951. And parents of children who register before April 15th will receive their child's school assignment by May 15th. More information on the citywide kindergarten program is available by visiting the website haverhill-ps.org. In WHAV Sports, the Celtics are going to be hosting the Denver Nuggets tonight. The Red Sox have an exhibition game today against the Minnesota Twins. The Bruins have the night off. Remember, WHAV is the only Haverhill-based news source. And there's always more at WHAV.net, where you can sign up for the free newsletter and learn how to become a member. From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, this is Win Damon.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Giles Gibson. The Speaker of the UK's House of Commons says the British government can't bring its Brexit deal back for another vote unless it's significantly changed. Police say they've arrested a man following a fatal shooting in the Dutch city of Utrecht that left 3 people dead. And US officials are reportedly investigating the development of Boeing's 737 MAX jets after last week's Ethiopian Airlines crash.
Wave weather.
Here's your wave weather forecast for Haverhill in the Merrimack Valley. Tonight, partly cloudy, a 5-mile-per-hour breeze becomes calm, low 24. Mostly sunny for your Tuesday, calm earlier than 8-mile-per-hour northwest afternoon wind. Cool, high 42. Clear and a low of 24 at night. And skies pretty sunny for Wednesday. Highs warm to around 50 degrees. I'm WHAV meteorologist Brian Ivy. Your next wave weather in 30 minutes.
This spot could have been yours. Support WHAV's local approach with your underwriting. Go to WHAV.net and click on advertising to reach thousands of new customers. Broadcasting on the Armstrong FM system, this is 97.9 WHAV.
Catch the wave, WHAV. Merrimack Valley. Open mic.
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Okay, we're into the second hour, and our new guest is school committeeman, attorney, Paul Magliocchetti. It's a long name when you put all your titles together.
Put all the titles, put the 13 letters in the last name. You use everything in the alphabet. You know, you got some numbers in there too.
Yeah, you probably have it worse than I do with Macek, because that's a tough one. I say it's 5 letters. When you see it, you can't say it. If you can say it, you can't spell it.
Correct. Yeah.
But in Haverhill, unfortunately, I have been able to get a lot of people to figure it out.
Yeah,
but
you don't have enough vowels
outside of town, it's like living in Haverhill. I sometimes, when I'm giving my address on the phone to somebody that's distant, I'll actually say Haverhill, because I don't want to fight with them about how to spell it. So
I do that at the office when I'm talking to people, and elsewhere in the state or another
it's just
state,
easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and just like, I don't care if somebody can't spell my name or can't say it. I'm used to it. It's not like I get offended.
Yeah,
as long as they can find it on a ballot, I'm all set.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, hey, it's time to talk about a bunch of stuff that you're involved in. Let's start with what you do for a living. You're an attorney.
Yes.
And you're a partner at Sheehan, Schiavone. How many? I got the names. See, I remember the old names. Who's in it now? Schiavone, right?
It's, Tim Schiavone, Richard Sheehan, Bob Jutras, and myself.
Schiavone Sheehan? Or
No,
is it Sheehan Schiavone? So I had that right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Sheehan is really the patriarch of
Yes,
the firm. You know,
right,
he's
right.
he's the descendant. The firm actually goes back almost 110 years.
Wow.
In Haverhill, yeah, we're one of the oldest, if not the oldest, firm in the city.
Right, and then it's Jutras and Magliocchetti.
Yeah, we were the
Yeah.
last two to jump on board.
Nice.
And
And
Bob,
you got other
Bob-
attorneys that work there, like you
Yeah.
have the gentleman, Attorney Hart. Is it Hart? What's his name? The guy came from the FBI.
Oh, that's
or
that's Bill Chase.
Chase.
Bill
I knew it was
yeah,
one of those
yeah,
other Haverhill names.
Yeah, no, you're thinking of
I knew
Mike
it was. I
Hart,
knew it was a former.
Marine.
I knew it was a former counselor.
Yes, yes, that's right.
Bill
that's
Chase.
right.
He was also. Is he related to Bill?
No
No.
relation.
Okay.
No relation. But
All right.
he has strong ties to Haverhill.
But he's doing the technology stuff, right?
He's doing the cybersecurity for us, yeah, and he still does data security for the federal government. He's really got strong pedigree. I mean, he was a SAC leader for the FBI in Boston, in Baltimore, and in Albany, New York. So he's a senior member of the FBI, and we're really glad, we're really happy and proud to have him as part of the firm. And I think
Yeah.
it says a lot about who we are as a firm and the direction that we're headed.
And that field is so important for everybody in business.
You can't
Anybody
you
that
can't
takes
stress it enough.
credit cards
Not only that,
and above, right?
anyone that stores documents,
Right.
You can't emphasize it enough. And unfortunately, people don't understand the consequences of doing business in today's society. And until something really bad happens, unfortunately, they're not going to take advantage of some of the cybersecurity companies and firms like ourselves. We preach protective practices.
Right.
Bill Chase is on board to go into businesses, to assess their cybersecurity, to assess their data security, to see how they're conducting business, making sure they're complying with the laws, to protect not only them, but all their clients. I mean, the penalties that are imposed by the federal and the state governments are enormous. They can literally put you out of business.
Right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's really an area of law that every business, small, medium, or large, needs to participate in at some degree. And, the price does vary. So if you're a small business, the fees are a lot lower than if you're a large business.
Sure.
Because it goes with the territory. But we're real excited. You know, Bill's been part of the firm now for about a year. We just participated at UMass Lowell. We put on a cybersecurity certificate program together with Advocate, which is a nonprofit data security firm, and one of the professors from UMass Lowell who actually helped draft the NIST guidelines, that's the cybersecurity guidelines that are put out by the federal government.
Yeah, it's so important, and everybody should at least find out what they need to know, because, as you said, you don't want to get caught doing something you shouldn't be doing. And
absolutely.
And technology and information is so important, and there's so many unfortunate people out there that are on the dark side that
Yeah.
you need to protect yourself so that you don't have that
people
happen.
assume that they're protected. They assume that their IT provider is providing them a level of protection. But what they don't realize is that there are a series of safeguards and backups that the average IT person is not implementing in their business. So you really have to make sure. It's not only about the IT person comes in and they set you up with whatever you need, encrypted email for whatever it is. But in addition to that, you have to make sure that every employee that works for you that has access to personal information, they have to be properly trained, and they have to know what they're doing with the information.
Right. It's like I've had my Facebook page hacked like 3 times. And my friends start sending,
Sure.
Bill, I think you've been hacked. We're getting these weird messages.
Absolutely.
There's just so much stuff in cyberspace, in a sense.
And then it's
that
all
you got to be aware
and it's all
of.
how you respond.
Yeah.
So if you get hacked, that doesn't trigger necessarily the penalties.
Right.
What triggers the penalties is when you're hacked, what are you doing to deal with the hack? What policies do you have in place? What are you actually doing once it happens to mitigate the damage and notify your clients of the hack?
Right.
I mean, look, Target, Equifax was the big one that really broke
yeah.
the wall down, that really highlighted it for everyone.
Yeah.
Everybody, TJ Maxx, Marriott. I mean, there's so much information out there. And it's all in what we know as the dark web. I don't know if you know much about it. I know enough to...
I don't know much, but I've heard of it.
Yeah. I learned more than I needed to know because it cost me a few nights' sleep. But there's this whole web that's underneath the web that you and I use every day. And it's called this dark web.
Right.
And in the dark web, they have a lot of our personal information that has been hacked somewhere along the line. And people are transferring this information. They're buying and selling it with this digital currency, and it's impossible to track. And this was all part of that cybersecurity class that we had over at UMass Lowell.
Yeah.
You know, we were really enlightened, and you know, it was very well attended. I think we had almost 30 people there, mostly the banks, a lot of the small business leaders in the community. But it really highlighted the threats, and they actually went on the dark web, that advocate firm, and they actually pulled up a site where we saw emails and passwords of some of the people that were in the room that had no idea.
No kidding.
That they had been hacked. Yeah. Wow. So you and I don't know it, but it's probably out there.
It's probably
somewhere.
out there. Yeah. You know, I also people they don't realize when they're giving out information who they're giving it to and how that person may be storing it.
That's exactly right.
Or improperly storing it.
Correct.
Or having it be available to people that are maybe less than ideal.
And that's where we come in. We're supposed to be helping the people that have the information.
Right.
And telling them how to store it.
And the rules change at least once a year, if not more often, right?
That's
you know,
repeat business.
The government and,
Yes.
and the state, you know, state and federal government keep changing the regs.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So
they're trying to catch up with the technology.
Right, right.
Yeah,
well,
so it's
really
an
interesting field, and it is here today for everybody. So.
Yes, it is. And so Bill Chase, he added that dimension to our firm, which is really exposing us to a very different clientele. We're getting a lot higher end, a lot more technology savvy companies. We have a big corporate practice, and he's adding to that. But the other thing that Bill Chase is doing is he's been formally trained in security for these marijuana companies that are coming up. Because as you know, because you're going to be voting on special permits with these marijuana companies, you know, one of the essential components of all these marijuana retailers is their security procedures. So you have to hire these security, quote-unquote, experts to do a security plan. And when you build out the facility, you have to have 2 or 3 levels of security to make sure that not only the product is safe, but all the cash on hand is safe.
That's right.
Because as you know, the banks aren't taking the cash.
I know
so
what
there's
you're
a lot of
talking
cash
about.
being stored.
Let's hold up on marijuana because we've got to take a short break. And then when we come back, maybe we can even get some people to call in because people love to call in and talk about pot. 978-374-1900 is the number. My guest this hour is attorney and school committeeman Paul Magliocchetti right here on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
Those Boston stations don't always understand weather in the Merrimack Valley. Stay informed with Wave Weather every 30 minutes, 24 hours a day on Soft Gold WHAV.
Catch the wave!
When the Haverhill School Committee meets, 97.9 WHAV FM is there live from Haverhill City Hall. Class sizes, special education, teacher hiring, and spending are among the topics covered Thursday nights at 7 when the school committee is in session. Presented as a public service from 97.9 WHAV FM.
Community Spotlight!
The Haverhill Library is thanking the public by holding its 3rd annual Patron Appreciation Day, Sunday the 24th from 1 to 4:30. This all-ages event features scavenger hunts, face painting, performers, and more. You can even try your hand at the Ducky Derby for a chance at a prize. The event is free and open to the public. Submit your own nonprofit events and announcements at least 3 weeks in advance. For best results, use the online form under the Contact tab at WHAV.net. In the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, I'm Eric Scott.
Open Mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents The Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek here, along with my guest for this hour, school committeeman and attorney Paul Magliocchetti. And we're talking about maybe marijuana a little bit. 978-374-1900 is the number if you ever want to call in and make a comment, have a question for Paul, or just comment on what we're discussing right here on the Open Mic Show. Paul, what were you going to say about the new frontier of marijuana in Haverhill?
The new economy. Well, I was breaking into the subject talking about Bill Chase, our newest attorney, who came from the FBI, senior level FBI officer, who's now part of our law firm. And he's working with us to develop security plans for these marijuana retailers. I myself, being a zoning attorney, I'm helping them get their permits, whether it be in Haverhill or elsewhere. I'm working with the business community. And then on the school committee side, I'm worried about developing policies to stay ahead of what's happening so that we keep it out of our schools. I think that's absolutely critical. And I always when I represent clients that deal with marijuana, I always make sure that they give back to the community in a way that they're educating our youth. They're keeping the products away from them, and they're actually telling them about the harms and the dangers of marijuana. But it's a whole new frontier, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds, where the retailers end up in the city of Haverhill. As you know, we're going to have 6 retailers coming out of the gate, and they're all going through the process right now. I think we have a total of 15 applicants for the 6
Is it that high? I didn't know it would have gone that high. I had heard a lower number. But
I had heard 12 to 15 was the number I was given.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting process.
And the mayor actually set up a little committee to review the applicants.
Yes, he did.
Make some recommendations.
Initially, he was doing it himself. And then when he saw the volume, I think he said, you know what, I'm going to set up a committee. And I give him credit.
I do too.
Because I gave a presentation before the committee for one of my clients.
Yeah.
And it is a very impressive committee.
Yeah, it is.
They really did a good job. They're great people.
You picked 3 important people in the city, and they do a great job.
And they, I tell you got to be on your game, and you got to know what you're doing, or you won't make it through the subcommittee.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's a great process.
Well, that's good to hear, because as I've said about both medical marijuana and then retail marijuana, if we have to do it, we have to do it right. And we've worked hard on the council to make sure that we weren't just doing the easiest way; we were doing the right way.
Yeah, and I'm not a user. I never really partook.
Nor have I.
So I can't say that I know a lot about it personally. But however, and what a lot of people don't realize is we have to deal with this. And I know it's something you and I were talking a little bit about before the show, but it was voted into law. Haverhill was one of the communities where a majority of the voters voted for it to legalize it. We don't have a choice.
We don't. The state has mandated minimum of 6.
Minimum of 6. I believe it's 20% of the liquor licenses.
Yeah.
So that's how we come up with the 6, in case people don't know. And it could go up from there. We can't do less than 6. 6 is the minimum. And if you look at where
we also have the right, if, like you say, if there's 15, if say there's another 1, 2, or whatever number that apply, they could apply to increase the number.
Exactly. But you still have other guidelines.
We do.
Because within the ordinance, it says that they cannot be located within a half mile of each other.
I brought that in because Boston has it.
Yep.
And when I found out that Boston, I said, that's a great idea. So that we're not going to have a pot zone.
That's correct. I mean, some people use different distances, some 500 feet. We did a half a mile. But I think a half mile is good.
But the council also retained the ability to be flexible on that. If we wanted to, if somebody made an appeal in their permit, we could waiver it.
You can get a waiver in the special permit process.
That's right.
But you got to go through the way our system in Haverhill is set up. You got to get through this subcommittee. Then you got to have all your documents in order to get the host agreement.
Right.
Okay? And then you got to go before the city council publicly at a public meeting for the special permit. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to go
don't forget
through.
the state.
And then the state along the way. That's
Yeah.
part of the host
Right.
agreement. You got to get approval from the
Right,
state.
exactly. So yeah, there are definitely some good hurdles for people to cross to make sure that they're the right people.
And none of them have come before you yet, correct?
No.
No one's gone.
I'm not
So
aware of anybody applying yet.
a lot of people are under the impression that we already have permits. It's not true.
No.
It's not true. So I think we should clear that up there for the people. Not one permit has been issued in the city of Haverhill.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I believe only one host agreement's been signed.
I think three.
3 agreements have been
Three.
signed? Okay.
Yeah, before the mayor realized, oh boy, they're lining up at the door.
Yeah.
He had agreed to 3.
Okay.
One is
But I thought
the
he
one
didn't.
on.
I thought he didn't sign them, though. I thought he drafted them, but he didn't sign them.
I don't have copies, but I thought it was 3.
Yeah.
At least the ones that I'm aware of, the one that was because I think I might have received copies of them in emails. One was on Washington Street downtown.
Yep.
One was on the Plasto line up on Plasto Road, which is Route 125.
Yep.
And the other one was down on River Street.
On River Street, yeah. Those are the 3 that I've been hearing about as well. But what's interesting too is, and I know that the city council, I believe, had waived the requirement of a traffic study for one of the applicants, if you will. But now it's a requirement. The mayor has made a traffic study a requirement.
I don't know if I ever waived it.
I don't know. I
we
thought
could talk more about that. But we have a call. Let's
Sure.
take our caller. Hello, caller.
Yeah, this is Dr. Gerard Boucher.
Doctor, how are you?
How are you, Bill?
Jerry, how are you, sir?
How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great. It's nice to hear from you.
All right. I've been leaving you messages. I don't know if you've been getting them.
Yeah, I've been getting them. Every time I get a message from you, Jerry, I have a note to send a letter out for you.
Oh, I thought you deleted them.
No. You don't get ignored. It's impossible to ignore you, Jerry.
So
how are you doing today?
How many pot shops do they allow in Haverhill?
Well,
6.
we are told by the state we have to have a minimum of 6.
6?
Yes.
Oh, Paul, you going to help me open one up?
Sure. Give me a call. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, geez, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not a pot. I never tried this stuff. I don't even know what it does to you.
Yeah, well, it's not about trying it. It's about selling it to the people that do try it.
Yeah.
But there's
you got that right.
But like Bill and I were saying, it's a complicated process, and it's not for the faint of heart. And it's a serious, it's a very expensive process as well.
Yeah, it takes some money.
How much approximately does this cost for the preliminary arrangements?
I think to go through to the special permit, you're probably looking at almost $100,000.
No.
Yeah, you have to hire architects, you have to hire engineers, you have to hire security specialists, you have to structure the corporation properly. There's a lot that goes on. Then there's a state application, which is no walk in the park.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Well, that leaves me out. I'd have to take out a loan.
Oh, come on, Jerry.
Is there such a thing as a special pot loan?
No, banks can't even
do with it. Yeah, it's still the federal government still has it as a controlled substance.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
You're right. Yeah.
They can't even deposit the money.
That's a contradiction, isn't it, Paul?
Well, I think it presents an interesting issue because the states are really banking on or counting on the increased revenues. I think the state tax is, 18%?
Is it that high?
I think it can go up to.
I know, it may be.
And then the city takes another 3.
3.
So, the taxes are very high, but the problem is they're forcing everyone to deal in cash. And then they can't even deposit this cash, so they're putting it aside. There are a couple of banks that are now taking the cash.
Well, some of the Massachusetts banks, if they're chartered just in Massachusetts, I've heard that they can do business.
They're trying to figure that one out. There's one in Gardner, Mass, I heard, that is going to start getting involved.
Yeah.
I know that there are a couple out in California and Colorado. So we're really following those models.
Right. Yep, you'd have to. Experience is your best teacher.
Yep, you got it,
Well,
Jerry.
Bill, thank you very much for having the program, and Paul, I'll be in touch.
Okay, buddy. I definitely owe you a call tomorrow morning now.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks
Take
for
care,
calling
Jerry.
in, Doctor.
Have a great night.
Okay.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, he's a great guy, isn't he?
I love that guy.
He is nonstop. He's got more energy than probably the two of us.
He comes by the office unannounced, and I take him in.
Yeah.
You know, we talk. We always find time to talk to him. He's a good man, and he served our country.
He did,
and he's a great guy to have.
We call him Dr. Jerry Boucher because he got his doctorate degree online, even though he has a problem with his sight.
Reading Braille, he reads in Braille.
Yeah, and he accomplished a doctorate. So
he's
that's an incredible feat.
A great role model for our youth.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we're almost at break time, but
now
what else?
we want to transition.
Sure,
let's go from marijuana now.
Let's tease some people.
One of the interesting things about marijuana is I'm also the chairman of the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce, as you know.
Yeah.
And months ago, when we knew this was coming, I worked together with Dugan Sherwood, our president and CEO, who, by the way, is absolutely phenomenal.
Isn't he the best?
One of the best things to happen to the city of Haverhill.
And he gave you credit for bringing him.
I worked hard to bring him here. I knew he was something special.
Yeah.
And I think everyone is seeing what I saw from the outset.
And I think it's
really
just the
spectacular.
tip. I think it's just the tip of the iceberg.
There's a lot more coming. A lot more coming from Dugan. But anyways, when this was coming up, he felt it was important that we stay ahead of it. And like I said, I wanted to stay ahead of it. So we immediately formed a subcommittee, and we're very lucky at the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce to have people with expertise in all the different areas. We had an agricultural guy. We had Steve Flynn from the florist, Noonan's.
Yeah.
And then we had Jason Petro, own CEO. We had
Jason.
Yeah, we had
here
Rebecca from Sale and Five, who knows about financing and the banking world. We had Matt Juros, an architect who actually worked on designing some of these facilities. So we had this great subcommittee that was really researching the issues, talking to people that were involved, and they were advising us on the direction the chamber should go. And we learned a lot. We really did learn a lot. And at the end of the day, from the chamber's point of view, it's another business. And we have to support all our businesses.
Yeah.
Not to say we're not advocating for pot. We didn't take a position, publicly for anyone in particular. But it's another business, and if it's something that's coming, the Haverhill Chamber.
It's legal in Massachusetts.
It's legal in Massachusetts.
So you've got to deal with it.
And if you have quality people that are running the establishments, and I think it's important too that we remember that we should put a priority on locals that are opening these retail establishments.
Yeah.
People with roots in the community, that are vested in the community, that live in the community.
Right.
We got to be careful of these corporate entities that come and
Well, there's already a rumor on one of the three. I won't say which one, and it already happened, I guess, on one of the first two that opened. Is that there are some big corporations they're just flipping. They're going in and they open up, and the next thing you know, they're sold.
Yeah.
And somebody, I think Nestle Water, believe it or not,
really,
is one of the big investors in purchasing
the retailers,
marijuana stores nationwide. Yeah.
Well, I think you're going to see some of these big corporations that are going to go after the retail establishments, and then others are going to go after the cultivation.
Right.
Because the cultivations, it's becoming a science now.
Right.
And some of the science behind some of these cultivators, which is another thing I've learned more than I ever wanted to know about.
Yeah.
But the technology and the way they're cultivating the product, it's different. It really is. They're doing it in warehouses.
Yeah.
It's not like
they
these
build.
fields.
Yeah, I know. I had a call just the other day from somebody that was interested in what it would take to do cultivation in Haverhill.
Yeah.
So we had a nice conversation.
See, so you and I are on the front lines.
Yeah,
on this.
yeah,
So stay ahead of it.
absolutely.
And just like the chamber, we got to stay ahead of everything.
You know, the thing that does worry me, that because the state hasn't even got it figured out, is what they call consumption. The regs on that are not figured out by the CCC, the Cannabis Control Commission.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how I feel about allowing basically the equivalent of a pot bar. And because of the impaired driving that would most likely be hand in glove and it would follow, it's going to be a tough one.
Well,
we'll have to figure it out.
The way it is right now, you can't smoke on premises.
Right now.
So when you have the retailer, you can't do it.
But is the state going to force us to allow for consumption?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you can't even smoke a cigarette, so why would they allow smoke? I mean, I guess you have the cigar bars, there are exceptions. But if you have private clubs, I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's a legal
That's
substance.
Right. It is.
It's a legal substance.
Is, but
I tell you the real question, the hardest job dealing with marijuana is the police. And we don't give them enough credit. And if you go through this process, you start to really understand. It's not just the people that are smoking it that they have to worry about them getting high and then driving or going out and causing problems, although it's kind of from what I hear, it's a mellow thing. But anyways, it's not only that. In going through this whole process, the whole security thing with dealing with the volumes of cash, it's opening up a whole new world.
It is.
And you can tell by the questions that are being asked by our law enforcement that there are going to be a lot of issues that come out of this from a law enforcement perspective. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for our police department.
I do too.
Our Haverhill Police Department, to me, is second to none.
They do
we have
incredible stuff.
Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And they're smart. They get it. They know what the issues are. They know what they're looking for. That you can tell they're very well trained.
Yeah, you can't.
And they're up to speed.
They can't stop all the crime, but boy, did they catch them.
Oh, and when they get on it, they figure the angles.
They do.
Yeah,
they
they're
do.
very resourceful. They're very efficient.
Yeah.
With the way they use their personnel.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Paul, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more of the open mic. I'm speaking this hour with school committeeman and attorney Paul Magliocchetti, right here on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open mic! Open mic!
From the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents the Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
And we're back on the Open Mic Show. I'm Bill Macek. Attorney Paul Magliocchetti, who's also a member of the school committee, is here with me this hour. We're talking about a bunch of stuff. And one of the, you should have a hat rack beside your desk just like me, because you do a lot of different things.
Yes.
And so you also are involved in the chamber. You're the chairman.
I'm the chairman.
So you're not just a member.
That's right. I'm the chairman of the board. I'm also the chairman of the board for Bethany Communities downtown, which is senior housing. So I've been blessed. I've been chair of both Bethany and the Haverhill Chamber. This is my second year. And my wife said, "That's it. I'm all done." So, I'm gonna be ending it. But last year, in addition, I was also the vice chair of the school committee last year. So in the same year, I had to hire a new superintendent and a new president and CEO of the chamber. So needless to say, my family didn't see me much this time last year. I was going through a lot.
So you're also a headhunter.
Yeah, that's right, a recruiter, yes. And I think in both cases, my teams did great, did just absolutely spectacular. The committee that got together to select the Superintendent Murata, they came up with 3 absolutely spectacular candidates. It was a tough choice. We chose Margaret Murata, and she's lived up to the expectations so far.
I think so.
And, the same thing with Dugan Sherwood and the president of the chamber. I think he clearly stood out from the crowd, and it was a matter of putting some pieces together to recruit someone with his executive level experience, which we haven't had in the chamber in a long time. We haven't had that high level executive, that forward thinking person. Did you go see CIC where he came from in Cambridge? Did you get a chance to go visit?
I did go. Yeah,
that's
very impressive.
Yes, that's an impressive establishment.
Little phone booths like that. They have people that are just working on their inventions, and
it's full. They're all rented.
And then there's some big stuff too.
Yeah,
some bigger square footage, but so it really adapts to the needs of the individual or the small group.
And then they have all the community areas where they come out of their small spaces and they interact.
Right. They even have like pods for sleeping.
They do. Yeah, I saw that when I was there as well. Yeah. And they have the Venture Cafe, which is a cafe where they have beers on tap. They have like a bistro kind of cafe with wine, and they have social hour every day. So they encourage people to come in to exchange ideas, to interact, to collaborate. It's it fosters innovation, and it fosters the future economy. And I can't wait to bring something like that here to Haverhill.
Yeah, and Dugan said that he started the same day that Superintendent Murata started on July 2nd. So you got them both going the same day.
I got them both starting at the same day. And boy, it was a happy day for me. They got off and running. And now it's just a matter of supporting them because they really are. We got a couple of thoroughbreds.
Yeah, I like both of them a lot. I think we're seem to be we're in 2019, but we seem to be now kind of almost turning a corner into the 21st century with some great innovation ideas, things that are happening in Haverhill that we're catching up and going into the future.
Haverhill is the place to be right now. There's so many exciting things happening in Haverhill, and I'm very fortunate to be a part of these different organizations that expose me to it. Not enough people in the city understand the great things that are happening in Haverhill, in our downtown.
Right. Yeah,
I mean, they're absolutely spectacular, and a lot of it you're going to start to see more and more, and hopefully people will pay attention about these great things that are happening. Dugan's bringing some great businesses. He's exposing Haverhill, the community, the infrastructure to these great businesses, and we're going to be recruiting them.
Right.
There are a couple of them. I don't know if he talked to you about them, but there are going to be some exciting announcement about some
That's
new
all
businesses
he said.
coming. I can't wait. And I know who they are, and I've seen them in action, and it really they're game changer. It changes the whole complexion.
That's a good word, game changer.
They're game changers for downtown. And then you look on the education side, and I can't tell you the difference between Margaret Murata and the prior superintendents that I worked with. Her whole approach, the thoughtfulness that she puts into her decisions, the thoroughness. A lot of people might not agree, they might not understand, but being someone that works with her on almost a daily basis, and you see how hard she works and the thought that she puts into her decisions, you really start to respect it. And she's working on a few things that I think are going to be transformative in education.
We all have to get over being New Englanders and having to work with New Englanders, because New Englanders in general don't like change. Yeah. And she's had some change ideas already.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think her idea with St. James School and reusing it and repurposing some of the other schools it makes so much sense.
Oh, do you know how much money that's going to save the city?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that simple idea.
Right.
All right. It seems simple.
Seems simple,
but it, no prior superintendent thought of it.
Nobody else thought of it.
So, it's fantastic that she came up with it. And it's going to be that's going to be a game changer, because now we're going to go from these overcrowded classes in our middle schools, where we lose a lot of the kids, by the way.
Yes.
Okay? And now we're going to shrink that size down. We're going to give these kids a little more attention that they really need. These are the ages.
Right.
10, 11, all the way up to 14.
Right.
Where they're starting to hit adolescence. They're trying to, experiment. They're doing, they're figuring out who their friends are. And, this is the age where you gotta really keep them in line.
And we spoke a little bit about the last hour with Dugan. He brought it up twice, actually, the Haverhill Promise.
Haverhill Promise, that's another. And Dugan and Margaret, they're both involved. Dugan with my colleague Gail Sullivan and Rich Rosa, who've been great additions to the school committee, by the way, both of them. We work very closely on a lot of issues, and we're really working well collaboratively. But, they teamed up with Dr. Maddox and Representative Andy Vargas, and, they came up with this Haverhill Promise idea, and then they needed a partner to implement it. So they identified what they needed to do. All our kids in the city have to be rating at grade level by grade 3.
He said you're actually looking for somebody to maybe manage it.
That's right. So what happened was Dr. Maddox, through his generosity and through his trust, has donated a huge amount of money to the Haverhill Public Schools to hire someone to manage it, to reach out to these kids and get them reading. And Dr. Maddox he's that guy that's in the background that he really does foster a lot of good.
He's a super guy.
He's absolutely unbelievable, and he doesn't ask anything in return. He just does it because he wants to do it.
That you guys can, because I know he was so concerned about marijuana coming into the city.
Yes, he was.
Yep. And as we said, we didn't have any choice because of the vote.
Yep.
And what the legislature did in implementing the retail marijuana. But I hope that we can make sure that we have the proper safeguards in all of our schools. And I know we're looking at adding another police officer.
A resource officer.
A resource officer.
But that's in the middle school. Similar. But I raised the marijuana issue on the agenda a couple months ago, and I wanted to know what was going on in the schools.
Yeah.
And we have an issue already, because especially with this vaping, because now they have these cannabis oils that they put in these vaping things, and it's almost impossible to
you
stay
study
ahead. And they're flavored
because you got to know what it is,
and you don't even smell it anymore because it's flavored. So. And at the high school, at the time that we got the report, there were actually 80 kids that were caught using that were in drug counseling.
Wow.
So we are on top of it. They're catching them.
Yeah.
And they're getting them counseling. That's the key. That is the key. And I give Margaret Murata and I give Principal Glenn Burns over at the high school.
Yeah.
The two of them are really doing a phenomenal job. And I think I give them a lot of credit, because I don't know how they're handling this, if it would have been handled this well in the past.
Yeah.
I really think they're doing so many good things, and like I said, they always seem to be thinking ahead. Well, they know where the issues are.
And that seems to be where the city is just like almost, there's like a buzz of all the good stuff that's going on, and all this stuff, we got to just take care of it. But I think little by little we will, as fast as possible.
Yeah, because the prior administration in the schools, it was almost like it was a hamster on a wheel that was just kind of spinning over and over again. And as much as the school committee tried to push us, they were just content with spinning on that wheel. So now we're off the wheel, and we're on a conveyor belt.
Had a conversation. I know you're real concerned about some of the leaks and some of the needs that some of the schools have.
Absolutely, and it's not just the roof leaks. If you remember the night I came before you to ask the tax of the levy, I'm not a tax guy. As a matter of fact, my parents, they say I'm a little too conservative sometimes.
He's out of the family.
Yeah. But, there comes a time when you visit the school buildings. I visit all our buildings on a regular basis. I drive through them. I go visit them. I walk through them. You see the issues firsthand. And unless you do that, and I'm not saying you or the counselors or everyone should do that because it's not really your role. But if you do it and you see the issues, you realize the amount of money that it would take to really do the job right. And that's what I was trying to convey. It's not, these are not simple fixes. You can treat them as if they're simple fixes, but then they're just ongoing problems.
Right.
And they just keep reoccurring. And the problems at J.G. Whittier, that building needs either a substantial rehab or it's got to be torn down, and we got to do exactly what we did at Hunking for the group, for the community in that area of the city.
Right. Well, that's what I say. When I go into Hunking, I know I've said this before, but you probably heard me maybe, but when I go into Hunking, I say to myself, 1 down, 2 or 3 to go.
Yeah.
Because I think it's that level of a building that provides a structure for the kids different than a 100-year-plus school.
And this is where I think the mayor has it right, by the way. I think the mayor, if he can rehab Constantino the way he wants and really bring it up, and we have a 1,000-seat school over in Bradford. Constantino will seat 1,000 adequately, safely. Right. And then if we build another new school behind J.G. Whittier to seat 1,000, that really is going to go a long way towards solving our classroom issues for a long time.
Right.
For a long time. So we just
agree.
did the rehab at the high school 10 years ago.
Right.
So that will go a long way. The question is how quickly we can make these things happen. And the problem with J.G. Whittier is some of the issues are so significant, you can't patch them. You do have to put money in its infrastructure. We need a new heating system.
Make some capital improvements.
Yeah, we need a new heating system.
Right.
We need to rehab the locker rooms and the bathrooms. These aren't quick fixes. These aren't six-figure fixes. So we got to decide, the school committee and the city council, how we're going to do this. You and I talked briefly, what should be the procedure on this? And, that's what we're working on now. So Solicitor Bill Cox got back to me with a draft policy. He, Gail Sullivan, and myself, we've been working on this idea. So we took the first step. The last school committee meeting, the school committee voted to have an engineering study done, to authorize a superintendent to get an engineer to go to J.G. Whittier and say, tell us what's wrong. Because we're getting so much mixed advice right now. And, I know people say, well, hiring an engineer is a waste. How do we know? We don't have anyone in the district.
It's the expert that can tell you what you need to do.
Thank you. And then now you have a baseline.
Right.
And now you have something to go by. And then we can go to you and we say, okay, he says we need a heating system. He says we need to replace these tiles here. We need to replace these rooms. We need to replace this section of roof, whatever he says. We have the whole issues with the ground. It's actually, if you go there, you'll notice that the earth is actually pitched to the building. It's like you build houses. That's not what you do.
That's not the way you're supposed to run the water.
That's not the way it's supposed to do. So, these kinds of things, everything adds up.
Yeah.
But at least we'll know, and then we can authorize it. Then we make the request.
Well, at least you're now
funds.
looking at it and not burying your head in the sand.
Oh yeah, we're gonna figure it out.
Okay, great. We're gonna take another short break, Paul, and we'll be right back. We'll take it right up until 8 o'clock right here on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic.
Bill Macek and the Open Mic Show will be right back. Get in on the action. Call 978-374-1900.
WHAV is on Facebook. For quick access, visit WHAV.net and click on the Facebook icon.
Catch the wave.
On air or online, 97.9 WHAV serves you. Twice an hour weekdays, keep up to date with exclusive local news and weather. Find out about civic events on Community Spotlight every quarter hour. And better prepare with wave weather every 30 minutes. Mass Moments, Melinda's Garden Moment, Soundbeat, and Insight Daily complete the spectrum. Hear classic comedy and drama 7 nights a week at 10 p.m. and 1 a.m. Finally, a unique blend of rock and roll hits from the 60s, 70s, and 80s round out the entertainment. Stay with 97.9 WHAV, the only Haverhill-based news source.
WHAV.
The Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom, 97.9 WHAV FM presents The Open Mic Show with Bill Macek. Make your voice heard. Call 978-374-1900. That's 978-374-1900.
Okay, we are back on the Open Mic Show. Bill Macek here, along with my guest, school committeeman and attorney Paul Magliocchetti. We are here until just 8 o'clock. If you have a quick call you'd like to make, 978-374-1900 is the number to call. And Paul, we've been just going from one topic to the next. About Bethany Homes, you want to talk about that at all?
Sure, Bethany Homes. That's
because you're on the board.
I'm on the board. I'm the chairman of the board.
You're the
right
chairman.
Now. Yeah, it's another one.
Mr. Chairman.
And I am very, very proud of Bethany. We just rehabbed the Mission Towers building.
Yeah.
And we're actually considering adding on and building some new units, low-income housing for our seniors. There's a real demand. We have a wait list. Ever since I've been on the board, we've had a wait list. And like I was telling you earlier, before I got involved with Bethany, I would drive by the buildings and it was like, nothing impressive. But then you get on the board, you go, you visit the residents. I actually, when I became the chair, I started doing this thing with coffee with the CEO. So I would go from building to building one day a week with the president and CEO and myself, and we would sit down and we'd have coffee with the residents, and we'd hear them out. And they'd let us know what some of their issues or concerns were. You can't always address them all immediately, but every single issue was heard, and every single issue has been or is being dealt with. Now, it does take time, which I know is frustrating for some of the residents, but everything is in the works.
Right.
And, so I think it's been great. And I tell you, the people that live there, they really are a great group of people, and
they are.
For all the residents that we have, there are very few issues. And because you do whatever you want. You want to be left alone, you stay in your apartment,
right. If not, you go to the common areas.
You go to the common area. I think it's a great social environment.
We are so fortunate to have the Bethany Home buildings and structures that they've built over the long time ago. They started. Right?
Absolutely.
And you need some more. So we were at a meeting last fall. Merrimack Valley Planning Commission shocked me with the numbers of the housing we will need by 2025.
Yeah.
Which is close.
Yeah.
It's because of the graying of the population. And okay, we aren't all going to go live at Bethany, but there's also different levels and different types of senior housing, and we don't have enough of it.
Yeah, but that's where all housing you need balance in a community like Haverhill. And one of the biggest mistakes that the city made, in my opinion, was there's too much of a concentration of affordable housing downtown. And I think that's counterproductive to having a vibrant economy downtown, because you just don't have the money with the capital that's necessary to go to the nicer places. But we do need the affordable housing, but I think it works best when it's spread out a little bit, when you don't have as high a concentration. Some of those apartment buildings downtown are 40-50% affordable.
Right.
That's a high percentage rate of affordable housing.
And I agree with you. I totally agree with you.
And you can't, it doesn't sustain a local economy. And unfortunately, that's very hard to correct because we're so far down the line. Now, this is where I give Sal Lipoli a ton of credit. Here's a guy that came into town. He's building this beautiful building.
Right
in the center of our downtown, right on the waterfront, and he's committed to having those units all be market rate, high-end market rate units. And let me tell you, that is really something, because a lot of people believe that can't happen. But I believe it can.
I think it can.
I think we have a lot of great people downtown. I go have coffee at Battlegrounds, or I go to Wicked Big Cafe, and you meet all these people. Where are you from? I'm from Somerville. I'm from Cambridge. I'm from Medford. They're being priced out of these places. They come to Haverhill, and they're amazed. They're absolutely amazed what they get for their money. They hop on the train. They're in Boston in 50 minutes, door to door. I mean, it really is something.
It really is.
And
we got a special community. We really do.
We're very lucky, Bill. You and I.
I think we are. Yeah.
Living here our whole lives.
Yeah.
We both love this city.
We do.
And someday when you decide to run for mayor, maybe I'll be in that seat interviewing you.
You never know.
We'll take that next step. How long you're the longest serving councilor?
I am.
Are you?
Yeah.
You've been on in the 80s, right?
I was on 84 to 92.
Yeah.
That's when I was running for election. People would say, "You're such a nice young man."
And then you took a
and
hiatus.
then I took 12 years off.
You took a hiatus
from my family, my kids growing up, my wife. I had what I call my midlife crisis, but instead of buying a red convertible, I went back to school, got my master's degree in management, got my law degree, and then when my oldest graduated college, my youngest went to college. I asked my wife if she minded if I threw my hat back in the ring. That was 2003. I got elected in 2004. I got sworn in. I'm still there.
I
love it. I love serving.
I hope everyone out there knows this. You're the longest serving city councilor in the city.
That's why they call me the dean once in a while.
God bless you. God bless you. And that's why,
But the knowledge is important. To have been around, I've learned, through
the
experience.
Historical perspective is very important.
It always helps. Hey, we're going to run out of time. I want you to have the wrap up, though. You want to talk about anything in particular? We'll talk about your law firm.
Sure.
Talk about the chamber. Talk about Bethany. Just keep rolling.
Let's wrap it all up.
Right till 8 o'clock.
She and Schiavone, Judris and Magliocchetti, Haverhill's oldest, largest law firm. We're a full-service law firm. Call us up for any of your needs, whether it's estate planning, personal injury, cybersecurity, criminal law, whatever you need. We're a full-service law firm, and we have an attorney that specializes in an area of law for you. Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce. There's so much to talk about. There's so much excitement happening. Stay tuned. There are going to be some headlines coming out about some great things happening in downtown Haverhill, courtesy of the Greater Haverhill Chamber of Commerce. And everything great is always happening in the Haverhill Public Schools. We got a great play coming up. I believe it's Footloose that the students at Haverhill High School are putting up. Anyways, tickets are on sale now. Go see these shows. The students at Haverhill High School, they put on these great performances for everyone to enjoy. It's a great family night. And, we got graduation coming up in June. You're going to see a really high graduation rate here in the city. We have all-day kindergarten registrations going on right now.
It's all good, but I got to stop you there.
All right, and
we're out of time, Paul.
And here's to you, Mr. Bill Macek, Haverhill's longest-serving city councilor.
Thank you for that announcement. We're going to be back next Monday night, 6 to 8, as we always are, right here on the Open Mic Show on WHAV 97.9 FM.
Open Mic!
Join Bill Macek live on the Open Mic Show again next Monday night at 6. The opinions expressed on the Open Mic Show are not necessarily those of 97.9 WHAV FM, its underwriters, or affiliated stations. The Open Mic Show came to you from the Edwin V. Johnson Newsroom.